Great. Well, it's weird to be on the other side.
All right, so greetings everyone. I think we're going to have a quick introduction round. Aleksandra, would you like to start?
Hi everybody, my name is Aleksandra. I'm originally from Poland, and for the last year I've been living in Italy, where I work for Trento. I help running TechPix, the People Accelerator, and work as well on some projects related to accelerating the innovation ecosystem with the focus on the Balkans.
I think the microphone doesn't work for Fabio.
Is okay? Okay. My name is Fabio Carati. I come from Italy. I have worked several years for T-Lab and MIT. We had a joint program for business ecosystem. We study how to develop the business ecosystem in internet. And now I am working for ICT Lab, that is the European Institute of Innovation. And we are focused on ICT, and we try to help European startups to grow in the worldwide market.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Daniela. I'm a startup enthusiast, an agile coach, and a product developer. For the past 10 years, I've been working with startups in Spain and Germany and London to help them develop their products, their product strategy, customer base. I'm also mentoring startups, and I also co-founded PlayMob in London 2 years ago. The startup is still there. They managed to raise an investment already in the first year, so it was quite a success story. And you probably wonder, what's my involvement with these other guys? Well, we work together, we collaborate to bring value to startups, to help them with the difficult questions and problems they have, which are normally in the area of product development, customer acquisition, sales channels, lean delivery. So that's what we're doing, and you just heard about the Bitcoin ecosystem, so we're going to stay in the ecosystem and talk about ecosystem, but focus this from the perspective of startups. So my first question is, what is the EITICT Labs, which is you guys? What is this entity?
So ICT Labs, it's an initiative of European Union, and it's basically a network. So for example, I work for Trento, which is a public organization in Trento, while Fabio works for Telecom Italia, and we collaborate through EITICT Labs on various projects. I don't know if Fabio would like to add something.
Yeah, I think in general terms, ICT Lab is a network of the most important university in Europe, research center, and big companies. Just to give you some name, Philips, Siemens, Orange, Deutsche Telekom, Telecom Italia. And this is very important also for startup, because when we are working, when we work with startup, we can connect directly the offer of startup with this big company, and this is a huge market. It brings also a big opportunity for companies.
Speaking of startups, I think we can differentiate between very early stage startups, like idea stage, which we would call them babies, like a baby. They're like very tiny, they need a lot of care, they need a lot of growth, so you have to be very hands-on. And we have like more adult startups, let's say a 6 years old kid as a comparison, who needs education. So the growth is no longer the main focus, or yes it is, but now it's more into education, into strategy. So the 6 years old kid, the startup has a product and is looking for customers, looking for sales channels. How are you exactly differentiating between startups, and how do you help them specifically?
We act actually on different levels. There are different initiatives of EITICT Labs into which you could tap into. For example, Business Idea Challenge for those people who just got an idea or have research background, and they can apply for grants up to 40,000 euros. So I invite you to check out the website of EITICT Labs. For example, in Trento, TechPix, the People Accelerator, what we try to do is to help international talents build global businesses, doing this through connecting to international network with our partner organizations and mentors, like, for example, our friend Marvin, whom you just heard some time ago. So we have really some excellent people. And I think what is important for startups from the very beginning is to make them aware about the timing and like what we are trying to do, reaching out to the right audience at the right stage, because in the beginning of the journey, especially if we see startuppers who are like the first time startuppers, they don't have enough focus and clarity on what they are doing, and this is where we try to help them with bringing the international perspective, with making them realize that there is time for everything, and it's a process. So in a way, so certain things need to be set in order to come out to the world and to investors. We also try to make them aware that asking for funds, it's actually not the most important thing. And when it is required, that it's also important to reach out to the right investor, not only the one who's ready to give you the money, but also the one who has the expertise in the domain you are working in, and also who can provide you with some contacts. So these are some examples of questions that we try to address and make you aware. And I also liked what Stefan from Passion Capital said yesterday, that if you really have a good problem, and if you have clients for it, it doesn't really matter where you start from, because this idea, and then also Dimitri from SAP said also, stressed a very important thing, that it's idea times execution. So these things coupled make it possible, I think, for many of you to get to the top.
So basically you're saying that me as a startup in an audience, you're going to help me, prepare me to go in front of the investors. So most startups have an idea and just build something, let's say an MVP, and then they start pitching this like insanely, and they expect that investors will be all over them and say, oh wow, good, let me invest in your startup. So what happens, actually investors say politely, it's interesting, thanks, I'll get in touch, which means you're not ready. So I think for startups it's important to focus not on how I get investors at the beginning, but how I make my product strong. Is this what the market really wants? Is this what my customer really wants? Or is it what I think the customer wants? So I think your role is very important to highlight one more time, that you help startups focus on build your value proposition really good, and then investors will come to you and they will not tell you it's an interesting product, thanks, but they will say, let's start talking. So I know Fabio told me yesterday about an example of a startup that you helped. Would you like to
Yeah, our objective is, our goal in IT City Lab, I am a coach of startups that are in the second phase, are not more baby, are children of 60 years, like that. The idea is, I'm a coach and a business developer, and our idea is to create a European success story. In this way, it's possible to advertise, to tell to everybody that it's possible in European dream also for our startup. Just to give you an example of success story, I meet the first startup that the name is AirSense, that produced a gas radon instrument. No? Gas radon is a very dangerous gas that comes from the center of the earth, and is the second cause of lung cancer for the people. It's a very big health problem worldwide. And they did an instrument that is that the target was for professional use, people that normally do this kind of measurement to understand if the house is okay or not. the idea was to try to rebuild completely the product, and this was my help in the company. And we started to redesign a product in a very cheap way for the consumer market. The idea was, now we are in instrument, we have to do something that measure the quality of air. We had sensor, what we have about radon, we have to cut the cost. At the end, we passed from a target price, the original price that was 1,300 to about 200 euro. And here we started to target another market. We did a production in Tunisia from China. So we started a lot of, my action was in that direction, and also to find the right customer in US that started to test the solution, and is a home automation provider, very big. I can't tell you the name because we are on, this is confidential, but this is interesting that this startup started to do this experimentation. And the idea was helping them in that phase to review the strategy, to have a new goal, and also help them to from the technical point of view to have another to have the right contact to produce the product, for example, at cheap price, and so on. This was my network, essentially, the network that we have normally.
Yeah, if I can just add something, I think that from the holistic point of view, the idea of EIT Labs is to bring your startup up to the next level. Because okay, you start up in your local ecosystem, and then, as also Stefan said yesterday, you need somebody who will introduce you to the investor on the next level, because this is what works the best, because it's a trust related issue. It's all about, as many investors will tell you, that they invest in people. So this is actually, I would say, the overall objective and vision to give you the extra push to go up, to go the level up.
So you're saying that preparation is important, but also getting some sort of stamp of quality from you guys, saying, okay, you as a startup, we prepared you, we worked with you, you're ready to go now in front of investors, but you also work with investors to facilitate this connection. Would you like to expand on that?
Yeah, maybe Fabio.
Yeah, absolutely. Because one of the most important points is that in Silicon Valley is called the alpha dog, no? Someone that can call the right person to find money or to solve the problem. Or this alpha dog is very important. And what we do is also that to try to find the right VC with our connection, with our network. So it's very important also this meeting, because we meet a lot of persons, exchange idea, and we have also the opportunity to do something for the future in terms of business and the opportunity. And also, of course, prepare with the right due diligence the company and give them some suggestion also in terms of how to present, how to pitch also. Also the communication part is very important on that.
And I'm not very sure whether you're an accelerator or how would you position yourself?
No.
You're not an accelerator?
We get money from the European Union, so it's a public services. We don't get, revenue share. We work closely with Activator, so our partner, our Activator, our co-working space, and together we deal with the company and try to help the Activator and the companies to go to the next level. So, for example, TechPix is an example of that. TechPix is a partner of IIT Lab. We get some companies from TechPix. And
what is TechPix? Just for clarification, what is
TechPix? Is the people accelerator. So we we accept both individuals and teams now for a 4-month program in Trento, at the foothills of the Alps. We don't take equity. We provide idea generation labs and mentoring and coaching for already formed teams with ideas. So this is generally the idea.
Okay, right. So
Techpix.eu.
so you're not an accelerator. You're like an ecosystem, like buzzword today here in the room, ecosystem. That means you work with startups, you work with investors, you work with local players in the local markets. Like, for instance, let's say a Bulgarian large company who would have a need that a small startup is providing or is working on. So you actually match the need with a solution. I'm not very clear on how you work with investors and how can startups benefit from your work with this part of the ecosystem, the investors, the VCs.
Yeah.
How can startups benefit from this work you do with them?
Yeah, for example, we create events where the company can meet the VC. We work also day by day speaking with VC and say, okay, we have this kind of company, can you interested to start initiative with them? And also, but to speak about ecosystem, for example, our ecosystem, I see, for example, a very interesting solution for healthcare that can be used for Philips. One thing that we do is organize a meeting and try to develop the product for Philips, and in this way we can close a deal. This is a case of success story. Or, by the way, this is an example. Or another example can be, we have a different university that produce technology. If for a startup or for a company it's important that kind of technology to have a more strong offer. For example, yesterday I have a meeting with a company that had a the next week that had a problem about security. We have some solution that comes from the university, can be bring it directly also to the company with the technology transfer process to give a best offer and more competitivity to the company. So also this is another part of work in technology transfer for our important university or a research center to the startup or to company. Other point are collaboration between company, between startup. This is very interesting. Part of the technology that can be merged together to have a more strong offer. And this is working in the ecosystem. So link together points that links together doesn't mean, this is very important, doesn't mean only to prepare a dinner together and speak about something. No? This is what in Silicon Valley say strategical business development. That means that you have a strategy, you have a path that you share with your partner with the idea to achieve a result. This is very important, I think, because in this case, when we are speaking about business ecosystem, always we have to take care about this concept of strategic business development. Means also connect investor, try to have, I mean, a strategical point of view that involve different part of the ecosystem.
And I think also maybe what's an important part is that I think in this way EIT Labs contributes also to the development of acquisitions market in Europe, because it speaks both to big companies, to startups, and also tries to create like the missing link in form of SMEs, which would enable getting the innovation into the structure, in the offering of big players on the market.
So you say that at the core of your value proposition is the network. Based on the network, you enable reaching out, enable startups to get out there, meet other startups, meet investors, collaborate, meet large companies, meet the need, and deliver the solution. Do you have an example, like a program that you're starting or you're about to start, how this networking is beneficial for startups? Because I think one problem that startups in Southeast Europe have is they don't know how to network. And I mean, like, they meet investors and they ask the wrong questions. They meet customers and they ask the wrong questions. So they get very little value from networking, and that's something that can be optimized. How do you
I think that originally being from Poland, I also recognize some patterns in Bulgaria or generally in Southeast Europe. And what I can say that I think there is certain cultural difference, and we are only, I think, learning now soft skills and the importance of communication. I think that in our DNA there has always been focus rather on the hardcore part of things and the hard content and not the packaging, which I think also makes finds its reflection in the startup world, where there is a lot of technical talent in Central Eastern Europe and Southeast Europe, while marketing and sales are really lacking and lagging behind. So I think this is definitely something that needs to be boosted. And why we are here with the EITI City Labs network is because EITI City Labs network is physically located in a few places in Europe, like Trento, but also Paris, London, Berlin, Helsinki, Stockholm, and with associated members in Madrid and Budapest. And all the other countries where there is no physical presence of EITI City Labs are so-called outreach countries, and what we are trying to do is to connect those ecosystems to the EITI City Labs offering. But also what we noticed that where we could bring value, and also I'm not sure if some of you were here yesterday in the afternoon listening to the panel led by Stefan with Ali and Daniel and Dimitris about the necessity of connecting the national actors on the regional and international level. So this is also what we would like to do with the outreach program. And one concrete example I can give you for this year is we have an open call for startups to visit Trento from outreach countries for some training and networking with both international entrepreneurs from TechPeaks as well as mentors who will be present there at the time. Among others, Patrick from the Next Web. As well as in the second half of the year, we will launch a call for cash prizes up to 70,000 euro with some support services and temporary collocation in one of the locations of EITI City Labs. So be it Trento or, depending on case and needs, other collocation centers are also can also be taken into account.
I would say we open the forum for questions. If startups here have any questions to us, we'll be happy to have them.
There is a question in the back. I would like to add in the meantime very quickly, also like when we are having discussions here and also what we see in Italy, because in Italy the ecosystem is very young, and I think what startups also do not maybe always realize how important it is to have a strong local ecosystem who will be able to support them throughout the process. So it's not only about accelerating startups, but it's also about accelerating accelerators or co-working spaces or investors network, giving tools to wannabe business angels, and basically educating them how to invest, on which terms, and how to support startups, because what you, Daniela, just said, that the startups do not know how to network. I think it's also kind of, I'm not sure if it's like this in Bulgaria, but I know that it's like this in Poland, that it's kind of, oh yes, I have to achieve it on my own, because otherwise I will be kind of regarded as
I think it's an European
I'm reaching out
issue.
for help. Like, no, like why? It means that I'm not capable to do it alone, and it's kind of proving yourself. And it's actually quite a silly approach, if I can say so, because I think we are a community, and especially now with kind of flattening structures, even in Europe, we should really focus on helping each other and creating these success stories that will help Europe to be more prominent on the global map, because I think we are getting there. It's just, it would be great to see even more connections and more dialogue on the international level, because again, Southeast Europe is fragmented, but there's a lot of talent and there's also a lot of opportunity.
Thank you, Aleksandra. Can we have the question now?
Okay. That was a great presentation. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out here and raise awareness about, this program and the opportunity for local companies to get involved. My question is, what can Bulgarian companies and universities do to perhaps build our own ICT labs here? Because Sofia, for example, is really becoming in the last few years a local sort of regional hub for the whole region in the southeast. So, the locations you mentioned, there wasn't one, for example, in Eastern Europe with the exception of Budapest. So what can we do to really attract the attention of the EU towards our region and lobby in some form to get our own ICT labs so we don't have to always travel to somewhere else? We can have more people come here.
So,
thank you.
Okay.
Very good question.
In general, two levels, no? There is the institution, ICT Lab in this case, and there is the community, people that work together and try to build value. What we are trying to do with the outreach program is the last one, to try with the bottom-up process to create a link between local stakeholder, I'm speaking with the people that work for startups, and all together try to, doing something that has more value than the single parts. This is and it means also to build a community of startup or stakeholder that all together can have advantage to be connected with the other community that is just established of ATC Lab. About the institutional way, I think that it is necessary to do some step, because also ATC Lab has several years, not that start. But I think that if you have just the community, if our goal today is to build this community, I think that will be pretty simple in the future also to build institution. But the important thing is to achieve success story, I think. This is the most important. Bring value to the territory and also to this part of the Europe, and that Italy is South Europe is working with Bulgaria, Romania, Croatia, Slovenia, and Greece. So we are very similar with them also how to live the life also. And this is very important, I think, that we are working together on this project.
Shall we move to the next question?
Can we have one more and then we can wrap it up? Yeah? There is no question?
No questions? Okay, so I would like to take this couple of minutes and
just one. One more minute.
Oh, one more minute?
Yeah.
One.
No, a couple of minutes. Sorry, I will insist. I would like to ask you. This is something which is this is not a game. It's a method to which I was introduced by TechPix advisor Evan Nisselson. So what I would like to ask you to do is to get to know the person that you know who is close to you, and to see why you are here and if there is any way that you can help each other.
That can be a small break, actually. Let's turn on the lights and everybody just say a couple of words to the person next to you.
That's like how networking starts, right? That's how networking
Actually, a little bit
starts.
more energy in the room. I want like kissing and touching and whatever you want, guys. Give yourself some freedom.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I think.